The third Sonic movie is on its way, and the biggest highlight is the introduction of Shadow, the dark version of Sonic. In the film, we'll see how this anti-hero was created through genetic engineering and developed his hatred for humanity.
You're a colorful bunch.
But did you know that this film's story will be heavily based on one of the best Sonic games ever?
What did you do? What I had to.
Shadow made his first appearance in Sonic Adventure 2 as one of the main antagonists. The character was designed as a dark counterpart to Sonic. Before his final appearance was decided, there was some concept arts where his design was quite different from the final result. In one of those designs, Shadow had a scar on his face and was blind in one eye. In another concept art, Shadow was dark blue instead of black with red details. He also wasn't going to be called Shadow at first, but Terios, which means reflection of. After all, he's like a dark reflection of Sonic. In the end, they went with Shadow, which is simpler and has a similar meaning. After all, he's like a shadow of the blue hedgehog. In the game's story, Shadow was created artificially 50 years before the game's events in a project that aimed to discover the secret of eternal life. The scientist behind this project was Dr. Eggman's grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, and he wanted to complete the project to cure his granddaughter Maria from a terminal illness. Shadow had developed a strong friendship with Maria until the project's space station was invaded by a military force called Gun, and Maria was executed right in front of Shadow, who was trapped in a capsule and could do nothing, ending up in suspended animation. At the beginning of the game, Shadow is awakened by Eggman and becomes his ally. Maria's death caused him to develop a deep hatred for humanity, making him an antagonist for much of the story. However, this changes during the game's climax when Shadow realizes that Maria wanted him to protect humanity. Because of this, he joins forces with Sonic and ends up sacrificing himself to prevent the Earth from being destroyed. I don't know how things will play out in the movie, but did you notice that Shadow sort of dies at the end of this game? As you might guess, he didn't stay dead for long. In this video, we'll explore the full journey of the most badass character in the Sonic franchise across various games and series to see how he evolved over the years before finally getting his live-action adaptation. Excited? So hop on this wave, because another Cinewave is starting. In Sonic Heroes, Rouge the Bat breaks into an abandoned Eggman base and finds Shadow alive and in suspended animation, much to the shock of fans who swore he was dead. Throughout the game, the explanation for Shadow's survival remains a mystery, since even he doesn't remember what happened. He suffered from amnesia after sacrificing himself and forgot everything that occurred before waking up. So Shadow teams up with Rouge and Omega to track down Eggman and uncover some answers. The big issue is that the game ends without Shadow discovering the truth. The only clue is honestly quite disturbing. At one point in the game, they come across a cybernetic copy of Shadow. Later, Rouge finds a room filled with capsules containing countless Shadow clones. This raises a bizarre question. Did the original Shadow actually die at the end of Sonic Adventure 2? And is the Shadow we see afterward just a clone? Before we answer that, let's switch to another universe to talk about Shadow's first appearance in an animated series. But hey, are you excited to find out if this will happen in Sonic 3? If so, comment below with #Shadow. Sonic X is an anime that adapts the adventures of the Blue Hedgehog and his friends. The series has 78 episodes, split into 3 seasons with 26 episodes each. You can watch it on platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime. Shadow appears in the 2nd season of the anime. His story in this version is very similar to the game's. He was an old project created by Gerald Robotnik, grew resentful after Maria's death, and remained in a state of suspended animation until being freed by Eggman, and so on. Aside from a few details, this Shadow is quite similar to his game counterpart. Back to the game timeline, we arrive at Shadow the Hedgehog, where Shadow is the main character. In this game's plot, Shadow is trying to recover his lost memories. He only has fragmented memories of Maria and feels the need to uncover the rest of his past, all while dealing with Earth being invaded by an alien race called the Black Arms. From there, the player can choose which path Shadow will follow. You can have Shadow ally with Sonic or Gun, or both, to fight the Black Arms, which is the hero path. He can also act on his own, which is the neutral path. Finally, the player can have Shadow ally with the Black Arms or Eggman to conquer the planet, which is definitely the villain path. There are a whopping 10 different endings, but this time, we'll only talk about the canonical one. During the story, Shadow discovers his origin and that he was saved by one of Eggman's robots at the end of Sonic Adventure 2. So yes, this is the same Shadow we've always known, and not a clone. The clones were created by Eggman, who had found the Hedgehog's body and used it to gather his genetic code and make replicas. But those aren't the only things Shadow finds out. Another discovery, and the strangest one, is that 50 years ago, Gerald Robotnik made a deal with Black Doom, the leader of the Black Arms. The deal was to give the Chaos Emeralds to the Black Arms in the future in exchange for DNA samples from Black Doom. Gerald used that alien DNA from the Black Arms for his project to create the ultimate life form. Yep, that means exactly what you think it does. Shadow has alien DNA in his genetic code. He's half Black Arm. Gerald's plan was for Shadow to defeat the aliens before they could claim the Chaos Emeralds. After uncovering his past, Shadow overcomes it and uses the Chaos Emeralds to become Super Shadow. In this form, he's able to defeat Black Doom and end the alien invasion. From that moment on, Shadow finally feels free from his past and becomes a renewed version of himself. This renewed Shadow returns in the next game in the franchise, now working full-time as a gun agent. He has his own campaign where he deals with the game's main antagonist, Mephiles, a kind of dark entity that merged with Shadow's shadow to create a physical body for itself. Mephiles is destined to wipe out humanity if he merges with his counterpart, Iblis, as that would turn him into a powerful god called Solaris. Shadow and his friend's goal throughout the game is to prevent this from happening. The antagonist even tries to convince Shadow to turn evil, but by now, Shadow is much more sure of his own beliefs and isn't easily swayed. He refuses and helps Sonic and the others defeat the villains. Once again, we're stepping away from video games and diving into animations. Specifically, we're entering the world of Sonic Boom, which has an impressive 104 episodes split across 2 seasons, each with 52 episodes. This show is more humor-focused and can be watched on Netflix. Here, we meet a different version of Shadow. Just like the other characters, Sonic Boom Shadow has a unique look. However, the most significant changes are in his personality. In this series, he's moodier and more arrogant than ever, and honestly, a bit wicked. There's even an episode where he tries to destroy the entire universe. Returning once more to the main game universe, Shadow reappears in Sonic Forces. Here, alongside Sonic, his friends, and a custom player-created character, they embark on a journey to defeat Infinite, who can create replicas of old enemies, Metal Sonic, Chaos, and even Shadow himself. The game also has a DLC where Shadow is the main character, and he faces off against Infinite in a one-on-one battle. We're getting closer to the current timeline of Shadow's life. But before we continue, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below so you can keep up with all the awesome content. Shadow also makes an appearance in Team Sonic Racing Overdrive, an animated series released on YouTube by Sega as a way to promote the Team Sonic Racing game. Both the game and the series are exactly what you'd expect. Car races featuring Sonic characters, with Sonic, Shadow, and many other familiar faces from the Sonic universe, like Tails and Knuckles. It's kind of funny to see Sonic enjoying driving cars, even though he's the fastest hedgehog alive. In Sonic Prime, Shadow returns once again, but this time, he's wrapped up in the series' multiverse storyline. This version of Shadow is much more mature than Sonic. He tries to stop Sonic from messing with the multiverse and plays a crucial role in advancing the show's plot. The series has 3 seasons. The first and second seasons each have 8 episodes, while the third season has 7, totaling 23 episodes. You can stream all of them on Netflix, as it's an original series from the platform. After this long 2-decade journey, we finally arrived at the most recent adaptation of the Dark Sonic counterpart. It's highly likely that we'll see part of this journey adapted in the third Sonic movie, especially after Shadow's surprise appearance in the post-credit scene of Sonic 2, where we see him inside a capsule. We already know that Shadow's creator will appear, and Maria's appearance has also been confirmed. Additionally, Shadow was described in the trailer as a version of Sonic who only found pain and loss. We'll have to wait and see how the story unfolds. Will Shadow sacrifice himself just like in his first appearance in the games? One thing I'm sure of, he's definitely going to kick some serious butt. Shadow is definitely one of the most complex characters in this successful franchise, and I bet he'll be unforgettable in the third Sonic movie, don't you think? If you want to discover more about your favorite movies and shows, make sure to click on one of these 2 awesome videos we're leaving on the screen so you can keep having fun. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!